I think one of the really important ideas behind the use of any information or communications technology in teaching is to think, what does it allow you to do that you couldn't do without it? So for example, people have these electronic voting systems, sometimes called classroom clickers. And the idea is that you collect the votes of students on a multiple choice question. People say the great thing is you can record every single student response. And I say, yeah, I'm not sure that's a good idea. If we want to create a classroom where students feel okay about making mistakes, then the last thing we should do is record every single mistake a student has made, which is why I like finger voting, 1 for A, 2 for B, 3 for C, 4 for D. Because then once the hands are down, there's no evidence you got it wrong. So sometimes technology can get in the way. But if you're teaching a group of 200, as many college teachers are, for example, then I think the technology is very helpful in helping you make sense of the responses. And so there's an issue of scale. If you need to do this with a large group of people, then the technology can be very useful. The technology can also help you group students together. So this is in its infancy, but there are some promising developments in what you might call classroom aggregation technologies. So the idea is that you collect information about students and it suggests to you how the students might be grouped for the most effective next steps. So you might create groups of students who are similar in order to actually focus on one particular thing, or you might create groups that are different, that are dissimilar, and therefore there's lots of scope for disagreements and argumentation. And so I think that there's scope for classroom formative assessment to help teachers organize the information they're getting. Right now, the technology is not very good at making sense of the information. So I think of the best uses of technology are the ones that actually make teachers' judgments more focused, more powerful, but they don't try to replace the teacher. I think that's what we've seen the most successful. It's keeping track of things. Technology is really good for that. But making a judgment about whether a skill that a student has shown in a particular context is likely to be well enough embedded to be useful in another context, right now, the technology can't do that very well. And there are exceptions. There are some wonderful pieces of software from Carnegie Mellon University, developed by the Carnegie Learning team. But what is interesting is after 30 years, they've still only got technology that works for about 1 or 2 lessons a week just for 9th grade algebra. So things are moving quite quickly. I think artificial intelligence will help us, particularly with machine learning, be much more sophisticated about this. But right now, I think the important question for every teacher is, does this help me do something I couldn't do without the technology?